Hello, welcome to my series of videos about the Dark Eye core rules. This part is about the talents, and this time I'm really not going through the chapter in complete detail. I'm going to tell you roughly what is described, which rules are explained in this chapter. I'll give you examples of a few talents, how they are described, what's in there, and that's it. I'm not going through every talent that is in there, and I'm not going to in detail describe every mechanic that is described. So let's start with the first pages. So this is a general explanation how this works, and it says the core mechanics are explained in the core mechanics chapter at the beginning. I did that. I explained how you roll a skill test. These are now more specific tests. For example, here is how does using tools influence the skill test. This explains a certain mechanic that says you're making a test and you haven't basically a lot of time, and you try to do something, and you try a test where you have to add up skill levels or skill points or something or values. Then you could avoid rolling under certain circumstances and just assume you are always getting with every test this or that skill level, and then you don't have to roll test after test in a situation where it doesn't really matter how many tests you have to roll. You just say, okay, I will roughly take that long to make the complete test, and in the end I would have to make 10 tests or something. Next explains a bit what you do with the quality level, how you interpret the quality level for different kinds of talents. The talents in the Dark Eye are organized in different groups, which are not so super precise. I actually don't like it that much. I would, for example, they also group the talents in these groups in the character sheet, and I find it always confusing to find something here. You see different groups. There is a group of talent, there's a group of talent, there's a group of talent, there's a group of talents, there's a group of talents, and sometimes someone asks you to roll a test, and then you don't know in which group it is. The group itself are ordered by alphabetical order, but if you look in the wrong group, you have to go through all the groups. Of course, sometimes it is not really, is now plant lore, is this a lore talent or is it a nature talent? I actually don't know. It was once, although it's called lore, not a lore talent, it was a nature talent. Maybe they have changed that now, but I find it a bit confusing, and else these groups don't have a lot of meaning. They had more meaning in the 4th edition. I think now the groups don't really have a lot of sense, because in the 4th edition you could get a modifier on a complete group of talents as, for example, an advantage. This no longer is the case. So but here they explain what quality level means for certain groups. And then there is a special rule for Anwendungsgebiete, area of usage for a talent. For example, there is a general talent for hiding and concealing and disguising. It includes sneaking and hiding, which are quite opposite things. Hiding is you sit somewhere and don't try to be seen, and sneaking is something where you run in around and try not to be heard and seen. And an area of usage is sneaking, or is hiding, or is following someone unseen. And you could specialize in such an area, and sometimes a test in an adventure book says you have to make a test now in concealment, following, and then if you're specialized in that, the test is easier for you, something like that. And they explain this in how it works. And then we have a list of talents. I don't know how many talents there are. Every green bar you see is one talent, and below there is a description. We're going through one of the descriptions as an example. For example, we have the first talent is flying, and that is often confusing. How can I have a talent flying? How can I fly? This does not mean flying. This means flying like in the real world. You know how to fly something that flies, for example, like a broom or a flying carpet, or like a flying horse or a dragon, or whatever you have learned to fly. And you have the name of the talent in every description, then you have the test that is associated with the talent. For every talent test, you have to roll on 3 attributes, and you use your skill value, your talent value, to make the test more easy for you and to not fail it. And these are the 3 attributes. Then is a general description what it does. For example, what I explained to you just now, that flying is about flying some object or some animal that can fly. And then there is the list of areas of usage where you can specialize in and where you can roll specialized tests in. The next is this really short thing here, says, is it affected by encumbrance? Encumbrance is when you're carrying weight and armor on something, and does it influence your ability to use this talent? For example, if you just have a knowledge talent, it is usually not influenced by encumbrance, but most body talents or physical talents where you have to run, jump or something are influenced by encumbrance, and sometimes it depends what you're exactly doing. And this basically tells you, yes, if you have encumbrance, then you have to use it as a modifier in the test. Or no, or sometimes it says no, and then you don't have to use it as a modifier in the test. Then there is what tools you can use to make the test, and how tools are to use is explained before the list. And the next is, what does the quality say? Because when you roll a test, in the end you will have a quality level you're left with, and this simply tells you what the quality level does. What can I achieve when I have a higher quality level in the test roll instead of having a very low quality level in the test roll? And in this case, it simply says you're flying faster. And it gives you an example what happens when you fail the test, when you have a critical success, or if you have a critical failure. And when you're flying and you fail a test, you usually only make a test for flying in case you do something special. Usually you can fly, like you can walk and you can jump. But if you try to jump a certain distance that is really far, if you try to fly a looping, if you try to fly very fast, then you might have to make a test. And when you fail, you simply are not as fast as you wanted, or you cannot manage to make the looping or whatever. And it usually does not have severe consequences, so you won't crash land or something. You just fail at what you try to do. And the next is what is within critical success. A critical success means you could make your maneuver, but you're also allowed to do something else while you're doing it. For example, shooting a fireball at your opponent or something like that. Usually you wouldn't be allowed, because your action for that round would be the maneuver flying with your flying carpet or something. And for the critical failure, they say you basically crash down. And all these things are only examples. Yeah, it doesn't say the examples for failed test, critical success, critical failure are not this is always happening, because sometimes it just makes no sense. These are only examples, so you can easier judge what would be an appropriate result for this failed action. So, and down here is basically a list of modifiers on the test, and in what situation you would make a modifier. It goes from +5 to to -5, and it basically gives an example in what case such a modifier would be appropriate. For example, you are having a short and a short simple flight over 100 meters. Then it would be super easy and would be +5. You wouldn't be rolling to begin with, I would guess, in that case. Or if you just, the next is +3 and it says you're having a several hours flight. Nothing special, and you're trying to be not hurt by flying so long. And the next is a +1 test. You are flying rather fast through the streets or something. And with 0 is you try to make a sudden turn. And -1 is you try to fly through a window, a small window. And -3 is you're trying to make a looping. And -5 is you're trying to fly down something like a chimney or something. I don't know what the translation is. Yeah, something very narrow and something very long. You try to fly through it. So, and that is how every description of every talent is structured. And the first ones described are the physical talents. That is like flying, like climbing, and such things. The next group is, where does it start? Here. Yeah, these are social talents. Again, they are the same way structured. This is something like intimidating people or flirting with people. I don't know, what is it? That's not the correct word I'm looking for. Or like convincing people, stuff like that. Another group of talent is nature talents. That is, for example, fishing or tying up people, following trails, singular. Animal lore, plant lore, here is it. It's called lore, but it's not among the lore talents. It's a nature talent. Then there are the lore talents. It starts with gambling or board gaming. So it could be poker, or it could also be chess, geography, warfare, magic, lore, and mythology, legends, stuff like that. Last group is artisan talents. That is like alchemy, or like drive-in, or healing people, healing of poison, healing of diseases, healing of the soul. That is like or I don't know, healing of the soul is probably wrong. I don't know how to translate it. Yeah, if you have some mental problems, and taking care of people with mental problems, like fear or something, and healing wounds, and working with wood, painting, stuff like that. This is the complete list of talents that are there. Everybody has every talent. Yeah, you always have every talent at a talent value of 0, and you can always try to make a talent test. Of course, there are other factors to think of if you can really make a talent test. For example, an alchemy test, you must know what you are brewing and how you have to brew it. You need to have the recipe, and you need a place to brew it in. Yeah, so you need some alchemy laboratory or something. But else, if you have it, you can try, and you might fail with every talent, or you might succeed or fail with every talent. So that's the list of I think I make a cut here. The next list will be about special abilities, and I'm going to explain what they are and how they work. And there are not that many, and I think I'm going through them here and explaining them, because I mean, skills are, I think you have a rough idea what skills are and how they work. Yeah, you can, every a game system has something like a skill, so I don't think I need to explain them in detail. But I think the special abilities are something special, and they work very differently, and it would be interesting to go through them in detail. So I'm going to cover next the special abilities in detail. And if you have any questions about the talents and how they work, again, I would rather not want to really discuss the mechanics in detail or something, or maybe why not? Wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I could, if you have really questions how something in detail works, I might explain that. Or if you want something, or if you think I left something out, then ask in the comments. I'll try to answer. And else, that's it for now. Bye.